new. I don't know what happened there. Okay. All right, we are live. Are you guys happy Wednesday? Let's give you guys a few minutes to see who's showing up today. I'm excited to be back. We have some good topics to cover today. But of course, we're going to do a little review, and then we're even going to do a live TriCalc 3 because I had a few people have some questions about how to exactly set that thing up. So this is a tool any level triathlete can use. Doesn't matter what level you are. And everything I've talked about this week is for every single level of triathlete. If you're never done a triathlon, all of these things apply to you. And if you have done 20 triathlons, all of these things apply to you. I just heard this, I'm reading this book called Your Future Self, and I really like it, but he talked about how the people, the doctors that actually have been doing their surgery or whatever for 20 years are actually less effective at their surgery because they just get into the same habit and do it over and over and over again. So I'm calling you out, you athletes that think that, oh yeah, I know how to swim, I know how to bike, I know how to run. Because if you're just doing the same old thing you've always done, guess what? You're leaving stuff on the table as far as how much faster you can get. And I've talked about this concept before, that I can help someone who's brand new to the sport learn how to swim, bike, and run easier than I can take someone who has a lot of inefficiencies and bad form habits to reprogram. It's easier to learn the right way the first time than it is to correct. And that's just our brain, because the neural pathway of the movement from the brain to the body, the groove is deeper for someone who's more experienced. So for example, if you're swimming and your arm, constantly swings out to the side and you're not really catching properly, and you've been doing that for 20 years, it's going to be a little harder. It doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just going to be a little harder than if I take someone who's brand new and never done that movement before in their life. They're going to learn it, be able to learn it quicker because they don't have any improper programming. All right, so got off on a tangent this morning. I do want to turn on the volume. Okay, cool. Hey, Urs, how are you? It's been a while. Type in. Let me know what you're racing. Are you training for anything right now? So good to see you. Good to see you. I know it's the third day and people kind of start to drop off of these lives, but there's so much good information today. So I really hope people start to show up. Hey, Gilberto, how are you? So today, before we start, we're always going to start with some breath work. So even if you watch this recording later, I like to get centered and get focused. So have a seat, sit up really nice and tall. Nice deep belly breath and exhale. And today, the topic is recovery. Having a recovery system is a huge component of your training. And this breath work that we're going to do this morning is actually a great way to calm and center yourself. It actually is great for headaches. If you have a headache or have a tendency to get headaches, this breath work can really help you. It can also help with brain fog and just kind of getting focused. So it's called alternate nostril breathing. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it. You're going to inhale, right? And then you're going to exhale and you're going to block the left side of your nostril. And you're going to inhale 4 seconds, and you're going to block your right nostril and exhale 4 seconds. And then inhale the left, hold your breath for a quick second, and then exhale on the right. Now, I'm going to give you a quick tip because I actually did this earlier and one side of my nose was blocked. So I have a really cool trick for you if you're willing to do it. If you're one of those people that has a stuffy nose sometimes, or, right now you would be afraid to blow out one nostril just because you would be afraid something would come out. This is kind of a cool trick that works 100% of the time. I learned it from a free diver friend of mine. So it's really, really awesome. So what you do, we're going to do that first. Let's clear out all the anything that might be blocking your airway in your nose. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a super duper deep breath, like as much air as you can get in your body. And then you're going to plug your nose and you're going to shake your head up and down and all around for as long as you can. Okay. So I'm going to do it too, because right now one side is a little blocked. So I want to take a deep breath in and block it. Totally clear. So it works every time. So I know I look crazy doing that, but it works so good. So you're doing the 1 mile dash tomorrow night. I love it. Perfect. Yes. Do you mind posting your 1 mile time tomorrow? So you should go back and watch yesterday's class, because we talked about the importance of testing and evaluations, which you know, because you're one of my athletes. But it would be cool for you to see, like, compared to your testing in the past, where are you? Are you baseline? Are you a little slower than in the past, or are you faster? I would love to hear that from you, Urs. Okay, cool. So hopefully your nasal passages are all clear, and we're going to do 4 rounds, right? 4 has been the magic number all week. So I'm going to inhale for 4 seconds through my right nostril. Exhale out my left nostril. Inhale. Switch. Inhale. Switch, exhale. Inhale. Switch. Inhale. Switch, exhale. Inhale. Switch, exhale. One more round. Exhale. Inhale. Switch, exhale. And relax. I don't know about you guys, but I feel better. So, hey, Larry, how are you? I'd love for you to do some alternate nostril breathing. It really, really helps center you. We are so inundated with so much stuff all around us. And I also wanted to bring up that fact that, can anyone guess what this is that I wear? I didn't have it the first day of the class this week, but I've been wearing it ever since. But go ahead and type in the chat. There's 2 things I want you to type in the chat today. If you can guess what this thing is. And then the second thing is, what was your workout this morning? I already know Urs is planning on his 1 mile test tomorrow, but what was your workout this morning? And how do you feel after doing it? I'm going to get a little bit more into this myself, but I have an injury. So I'm kind of really bummed out about it. But, this recovery talk that we're going to have today is actually very pertinent, because I'm not sitting still. I'm not doing nothing. And I feel like that's sometimes happen when people have an injury. They kind of get stuck in a rut. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let's see who's here. Hey, Heather. Yes, Heather, do that nasal thing, especially if you're about to get in the pool and you don't want to, offend anybody. So it doesn't only. You know what? You should try, even with a deviated septum, Larry, that works. You got to try it. You might have to do it a couple times, but it really does work, because what it does is it forces pressure into your sinus cavities, and it relieves the pressure. So I know you have a deviated septum, but it can still help. All right, you guys. So congrats again for showing up. If you're watching it later, no big deal. I still, really want to congratulate you on learning some new info, right? I love this group, the Triathlon Obsessed group is so awesome. We're growing by a couple of people every single week. We're almost at 1,000. We're almost at 900, but I'd love to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. So if you know any other triathletes that are looking for support in any way, please introduce them to my group. And like I said, we're going to be doing a live coaching every month this year. So we've got some fun stuff planned. We're going to be focusing on nutrition in October. leading into November. So I know Heather's been through my program for nutrition. We're going to do the nutrition reset again, because I know I could use it. I have not been eating that great. So we finished our breathing, and I wanted to talk to you about all the stuff that I'm talking with you about. It's all about this process situation. So, or dream, excuse me, about the outcome situation. We're thinking about the dream, right? And we focused on the details a little bit yesterday, but the process is really actually just as important as the outcome, as the big goal, right? So I really want you to take some time to think about how crucial it is to have a process to get to that dream goal, right? And I asked everybody yesterday if they had anything they struggled with. Now, what I meant by struggle was, do you have time constraints, right? Do you have not enough time to train? Do you not sleep well? Is your nutrition not dialed in? Maybe you have an injury, right? Like me, you have a hurt shoulder or a hamstring pull or a Achilles tendonitis, right? Whatever it is, those are details that you can work around for sure. But when you have a process, you can still keep the train moving forward to get to the outcome, okay? So knowing what the struggles are, and we talked about that, the trajectory from signing up for the race to race line is never straight. I don't know one single triathlete who's had a completely perfect trajectory to the start line. It's just because life is life. And this is not one sport, it's 3 sports. It's actually 5 sports in my opinion. It's swim, bike, run, transitions, and nutrition. And it's really 6 if you want to add strength too. So you really want to focus on make sure you're providing or implementing just as much focus on the process as the outcome, right? So it's a combination of many different things: skills, drills, daily habits, and that produce the outcome that we desire, right? So it's not just having the dream. If we could just dream, okay, I want to be an Ironman, and then tomorrow we're an Ironman, we show up at the race and we do it, we'd all have we would all be millionaires. We'd all have the Ironman tattoo on our arm, and there would be no issue if we could just think it into reality, right? But that process is super duper important and actually leads you to the result, okay? So the day-to-day is just as important as having your big dream off in the distance, right? But you got to have both. You can't really just do the day-to-day and not really know where you're going to go, because end up nowhere. You really don't end up anywhere if you don't have that end goal. Okay, so does anybody here? I did time. Okay, cool. Let's see what you guys did this morning. Love it. 3,300 swim, 100 repeats. My fastest was 1:15. Now, were those meters, Larry, or were those yards? Maria. Okay, 30 minutes. Love it. Okay, cool. She did a time trial swim, ended up with 1350 yards, feeling tired but proud. Love it. So you guys, you got to push a little bit. It's okay to feel tired, right? To push through. But if you're feeling extra tired, you got to make sure that you're eating before and after, right? And making sure you're choosing those right kinds of nutritions, not sports nutrition necessarily all the time. But way to go, Maria. I love it. Okay. Hey, Mark, what's up? You did a 5.6 mile run and an 800-meter swim. Okay, overachiever. I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I know you're training to break an hour at the race. I guess it's, I think it's like 10 days away, right? So awesome. Yards. Okay, cool. It was an IM freestyle. I went 109. Sweet. So we actually have a new intern at Full Circle Coaching, and we went to the pool this morning, and he did his swim test. And this kid I think he's 23 years old. So Ricky, I don't know if you're watching, but he's pretty inspirational, and he's a sprinter, right? So he doesn't have a lot of great technique for endurance swimming, but he did a 5-minute, 400-meter test. So if you guys know anything about swimming, that's a smoking fast. So he's wants to, go big in triathlon. So I'm excited to get the chance to work with him, and he's super motivated and is going to be a great support for us. Yes, Ricky, shout about your success. I was asking everybody what they did for their workouts this morning. So way to go, man. I'm super proud of you. But I know we can even get faster. That's what I'm really excited about, because improving form, definitely. Rosella, how are you, Rosie? Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. Congratulations on the puppies and the marriage and everything that's going well in your life. I love seeing your posts. All right, you guys. So the meat of today's topic is recovery, and having a daily, weekly, monthly recovery plan really prevents you from potential injury. Sometimes you can't help it, right? Sometimes things happen that are, it's just an accident, right? But if you plan your recovery on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, you can literally have a straighter trajectory from, start to training to race day, because it avoids your body having to talk to you because you're not listening. So a lot of times I have athletes, especially really excited ones that are new to the sport. They have tons of energy. They're young, maybe younger. Typically, older athletes are a little bit smarter as far as making sure they are getting their rest and stuff. But don't get me wrong, you guys, it feels good to train, right? We release endorphins when we train. For me, it's definitely a mental stress reliever. Like if I don't exercise every single day, I actually get really cranky. And that's been happening the last few weeks. So finally I got in the pool today and I feel so much better, right? So you get that endorphin release and you feel good. And from that feeling good, you can do so many good things that day, right? So there's a reason why we love and get addicted to the training. But there is a problem because you can overdo it, right? Especially if you don't have a lot of strength and you don't have a lot of nutritional support, right? The right kinds of nutritional support. So it's kind of like a catch-22. If you don't have a system in place, it's really easy to dig yourself into a big hole. And I actually have my life story is about that. So it's really, really important on the daily. What would be, I want to hear from you guys while I'm telling my story. A little bit about my past in the last 25 years in the sport. Yeah, so swimming with fast people definitely knows it makes you faster. So, okay, so what do you plan for yourself for recovery? I'd love anybody who's on the call right now. What do you plan on a daily basis? What's your definition of recovery on a daily basis? Because we're going to go daily, we're going to go weekly, and we're going to go monthly. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say as far as, do you have a recovery system, right? Do you have anything in place right now that you're using for recovery? And let's be clear, what is recovery? Nutrition can be recovery, stretching is recovery, breath work can be recovery, hydration, right? And electrolytes, that can be sometimes some type of recovery. But also taking, the foam roller, right? Or the vibration gun. So you guys tell me, what are you doing on a daily basis for your recovery? And I have a couple of other suggestions for you. So 8 hours of sleep, love it. I didn't even say sleep, but that's a huge one, right? So science is, science sometimes skews things, but the science is 100% consistent that we need 8 hours of sleep a night. And there are plenty of people that say that they don't need that. But I guarantee you, once they do get that, they even become even more superhuman, because there are people that say that they thrive on 5 hours of sleep, but I think that's a complete lie. I feel like when you're doing that, you're always in fight or flight. So you're kind of running on adrenaline. And that's kind of my story that happened to me, where I was like, oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep a night, no problem. And I did that for probably, I don't know, maybe almost 9 months straight, because what happened was, well, I was in triathlon. I started in the sport when I was 27 years old. I did my first triathlon, crossed the finish line, and was like, I love this sport. I want to do more, right? I want to make it a living, because I was getting my master's in exercise physiology. And I had never done anything like this. And I just loved the way it made me feel. And I didn't realize that you could become a coach. So I became one of the first 60 USA Triathlon certified coaches in 1999. So my first race was 97. I became a coach in 99, and I have not looked back, right? It's changed my life for the better in so many ways. But there were definitely times when I was overtraining and injured, and I didn't know how to stop that cycle. So, naturally I did take a break, because I had my daughter, Kaya, who's now 16. I can't believe she's 16. But anyway, so when she was born, I took 9 months off. I did train up until I was 6 months pregnant. And I swam every other day, and she's a fish because of it. I know she loves the water because of it, but swimming was one of those really recovery sports that you could actually swim to recover as well. So swimming can be some form of recovery. But when she was done, when she was growing up, the first 6 to 9 months, I was missing my training endorphins. I was missing those workouts that we just talked about that give you those endorphins and help you feel good. So I got back into it and I really kind of went too hard, right? So I was sleeping 5 hours a night. I was breastfeeding her. I was working full time with my athletes and I was racing, right? So I was hitting everything and I felt super strong. I felt so good. They say that after you have a baby, you have a new threshold to push through for your pain. That's 100% true. I never felt stronger. But after, I think she was like a year and a half old, I was literally ready to win this race overall. My very first triathlon was the Huntington's disease triathlon. And then in 2008, I was about to win it overall. And I thought, what an awesome full circle moment, right? And full circle didn't even exist back then. If I could win the race that I did for the very first time, in 1997. And so I went to show up at the race, and instead at 2 o'clock in the morning, I had a fever of 105 and was throwing up and had chills and was so sick. And I was like, oh my God, I was so upset that I wasn't going to be there, right? And it really threw me for a loop because I was like, wow, like I haven't been sick in so long. I haven't had a fever. I can't tell you when, right? So I just, shook it off and I started training again. And the next month, same thing happened. I got sick, another fever, another cold type situation. And that happened every month from August to July, August, September, October, November. And I got to the point where, I said, you know what, I guess my body's talking to me and I need to take a break. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be training as much, I want to improve my education. And I had gotten more back to work. And I saw this course in Fort Lauderdale that was called Holistic Lifestyle Coaching. And I went and I took the course and I was unsure about it. I was like, this sounds really interesting. And so I walked in the door, and the first day I knew, after the guy started explaining everything, I was like, oh, this is to heal me. I get it. Thanks, universe. Like, it was 100% to help me find a better route to my healing and my recovery, because I had gone to the doctors and they were like, we don't know what's wrong. Your cholesterol is like non-existent. You have like 120 cholesterol. I ate, all my food was organic. My sports nutrition, organic. My pizza, organic. My whole wheat pasta, organic. I ate 100% organic. But the challenge when I got in the door was they said, don't eat any more soy, wheat, or dairy. And I literally went home and I was like, I have nothing to eat. That's all I eat. Right. So I was like, wow, who knew that these things could affect me so negatively? So I removed them from my diet. I completed the course. And then I committed to a life of holistic lifestyle coaching for myself and for my athletes. Right. So unfortunately, it took me 18 months to dig myself out of the hole that I had dug myself into. I was not able to race again for almost 18 months because I had effed myself so badly by digging my adrenals out. I had no more cortisol left. So you can be in that fight or flight mode for a certain period of time. I think for me, it was about 9 months. I was fight or flight, and I had plenty of energy, or so I thought. But in reality, I was using up all my cortisol, which is what makes you have the energy to train and exercise. And it's normal to have good cortisol amounts in the morning, and then it decreases at night, and then your melatonin production comes up in the nighttime. And what happened was I had that reversed. So I couldn't sleep because I was always in fight or flight. And then my nutrition was so bad from excess carbohydrates. Now, my nutrition is all about real food. I healed myself using real food, homeopathic medicine and essential oils, and changing the ratio of my food intake. So instead of a carbohydrate addict, which is basically sugar addict, I had switched things up. And so now I have Full Circle Coaching, and with Full Circle Coaching, the nutrition is part of the program. I'm not willing to work with athletes that are not willing to look at their lifestyle and their nutrition, because without that, they won't last long in the sport. And I want to thank hey, Jeremy, I wanted to thank Larry, because it's cool to get 8 hours of sleep. So many people are like, yeah, I worked 60 hours in the last 4 days. That's one of my athletes actually, I'm throwing him under the bus right now, but he's not going to last long. He's training for Ironman Florida. If he keeps that up, he might not make it to the start line, And I actually talked to another guy who was going to sign up with me a couple, last summer, and he was all gung-ho about his triathlon, and he was telling me what he was doing, and I already knew it was way too much. And I just reached out to him again a few weeks ago, and he said, oh, guess what? I got injured. I never made it to the start line. He still has not done his 70.3 that he wanted to do last year because he didn't support the lifestyle needed to be successful in the sport. Okay, so this stuff is real. Okay, recovery, you actually don't even improve from your training. If you just train, you actually don't get faster. You actually get slower. It's those recovery days, those recovery minutes, those days off, those weeks of easier training or no training if you need it, and those 8 hours nights, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep per night that make you recover and then stair step up in your body's ability to go faster, longer, stronger. Okay, so recovery is a part of the program, no matter what. So I love Larry also does 8 hours of sleep plus 5 minutes of stretching a day. 5 minutes, you guys are like, oh, that's nothing. Well, guess what? He's committed to 5, and 5 minutes every day. That's awesome. That's what's 35 minutes a week. I can tell you there are so many athletes that would benefit from 35 minutes of stretching a week that won't even sit down and take the time to do that. So that's awesome, Larry, that you like fit that into your that fit that into your schedule. So Heather is hilarious. You know, Heather's been struggling with an injury as well, and she's trying to make it to the finish line of Ironman Cozumel 70.3. And she's at PT right now. And so the advantage of PT is, yes, they do your recovery for you. So she said she's taking a little nap. That's pretty funny. So recovery is not like, oh, I'll do it later. It's mandatory. It's a mandatory part of the system. So daily, you know, vibration gun, breath work, literally 2 to 5 minutes post run, post swim, post bike, to stretch the tighter muscles that you're using. That's recovery, right? It doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. Drinking a glass full of water and electrolytes and your perfect aminos post-workout, that's recovery, okay? Taking care of yourself to help your body repair after you train is a form of recovery. There's so many ways you can think about recovery, but it's non-negotiable, right? So nobody has mentioned the foam roller. So foam roller is controversial as far as if it really helps or not. I just know it works for me. So especially when I can't get a massage. Massage is, of course, amazing, right? So massage, you know, it's expensive, right? So self-massage is awesome, but it's just not the same, right? So unfortunately, I'm not in a relationship, so I don't have somebody special to give me massages, but anybody looking, you know, I'm available. Just kidding. Well, actually, I'm not kidding, but I don't have that special guy right now. But foam roller, at least almost once a day, I'm on my foam roller, right? I'm checking in with my posture, doing my back bends, doing my breath work. I'll roll out my glutes a little bit, just because those are the areas that are usually the tightest. And then if I'm feeling something special, I'll hit that point too, right? And I make it fit into my day, right? So if I have a minute that I am getting to watch a little TV, I'll do that at the same time, right? I have a foam roller literally in every room of my house because I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do my back bends. I need to like stretch out a little bit, right? So foam rolling, I love the vibration guns. We use Theragun. Actually, we use Hyperice. Hyperice we have a deal with, and we have all the Hyperice products. We have Hyperice foam rollers, we have Hyperice balls, and we have the Hyperice vibration guns. And those things are lifesavers, right? Especially if you cannot, you know, get into certain places, you know, lying on a ball can sometimes help too, but the vibration gun, it was a game changer. Honestly, that saved me in RAM when I rode my bike across the United States. In 8 days, we were sitting in a car or on a bike for 6-hour blocks. So my IT band, Larry was mentioning his IT band, man, my IT band was so on fire in my glute medius. And I would just hit that with the vibration gun between my cycling sets, and it kept my muscles loose and not, you know, kept them from tightening up so I could keep going. And it was funny because by the 3rd day, I had no pain. Like I was getting stronger every single day I was riding, and I was massaging myself because I had nowhere else to go. I was stuck in the car. So it actually helped me along the way. But stretching itself, using a stretch cord and stretching. And if you don't know what to do, that's okay. Look on YouTube. There are a bazillion, just type in stretching for hamstrings, stretching for glutes, stretching for shoulders, stretching for chest. There's a million things. I have, you know, my strength and stretching essentials, And I have videos of all the important muscles to stretch and strengthen with specific to triathlon. So that's what I do with my athletes is I give them that and they have access to it all the time. And I also, this is the one part that I was going to save to the end, but I use working in exercises. So working in exercises are opposite of working out. So what that means is instead of normally when you exhale as you're creating exertion, like say you're doing a chest press and you exhale, well, working in exercises are meant to be done at low heart rate. So the movement, it's called an air squat, but you want to do the movement as a squat, but you're inhaling on the way up, exhaling on the way down, and you're doing it so slowly with your mouth closed, only nasal breathing. And you're going through the motions with no elevated heart rate and no sweat. And when you do that, you can actually increase your energy and your chi. So I have a whole system of work in exercises based on your 7 chakras, which is really cool. Now, if you don't know what a chakra is, it's an energy system running through the middle of your body from between your pubic bone between your tailbone and your pubic bone down there. That's the bottom chakra, the root chakra. And then you have 6 more all the way up to the top of the crown chakra. And I have movements that you can do to stimulate those areas to increase your energy. Even like this is your third eye chakra. There's even eye exercises, right? So, and it's a game changer. I actually used these exercises when I was at my worst during my adrenal fatigue, my absolute worst. I could not get through a yoga class, you guys. I mean, it was insane. It was actually a restorative yoga class. And I had to leave about 20 minutes into it because I just felt so bad from that little bit of exertion. So when I started my holistic lifestyle coach, Paul Chek, he's my mentor. I've studied with him since 2008. He's amazing, changed my life forever at the Chek Institute. But he gave me those exercises to do. And I'm like, these are stupid. Like, this is not going to work. Like, this is silly. And I did them. I was so desperate. I was like, I need to move. Like, I got to do something. So I started doing them. And after 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, I feel better. I actually am improving my chi, my energy, right? And there was hope at the end of the tunnel. And I really want to reinforce this whole thing about the recovery because now it's a part of my program. No athlete is allowed to show up that 4th week of a 3-week build. I have some athletes that go 17 days and then they take 5 days off. So it depends on your body. And we might need to adjust it differently for different age athletes, right? But your body's telling you when you need recovery. And it's okay to push through a little bit to overreach to get better fitness. But if you push through too much, your body will let you know with a cold or an injury, right? And when you have it pre-planned, when you have recovery planned, in your schedule, in your training schedule, and you can tweak it whenever you need to, you are going to be way more successful and heading up that trajectory to race day a lot quicker than if you just train. You're not getting sleep. You're not eating well. You're not drinking enough water. All those things add up and can completely derail your entire goal, right? The whole dream goal that we started with. So let's see if there's anything I left out. Oh yeah, compression boots. Those are awesome as well. I will tell you, I did sleep with those on when only 8 hours of sleep across the country. So I had 8 hours of sleep total from California to Maryland in 8 days. I think it was, I don't even remember. I think it was 7 hours of sleep because it was off from the amount of days that I rode. But anyway, when I did rest, I did use my compression boots and those are absolutely amazing. The Normatec compression boots, they have ones now that have like cold water that go through them at the same time, but those are great because you can be doing something else. Like you can work on the computer while those are on. You don't have to physically use your hands to be able to get some recovery in your legs. And I will tell you, they were game changers, especially in the training. When we were training for RAM, it was awesome to, it was awesome to have the recovery boots. So we love our Normatecs and we also have a deal with them. But yeah, so Lara, you're right. We raced ourselves into shape, right? Across the country. It was kind of pretty cool. Well, welcome you guys. I see some unfamiliar names. I wanted to mention, if you didn't officially sign up for this, live this week, I do have a worksheet, and I just did want to cover, let me see what time it is. Okay, good. We're good for time. I didn't want to cover if anybody had any questions about the worksheet, because we went over the dream goal, and I wanted you to get more specific by listing specific things in your swim, specific things in your bike, run, nutrition, strength, and other. So I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like. So for your swim, maybe you have a goal time you want to achieve. Maybe it's for the 400, you want to hit it in 8 minutes or whatever the case is. And that could be in the pool or open water. You got to figure that out. You could also have a more specific goal of being able to do flip turns. If you're not doing flip turns right now, if you aren't, that's a game changer and will greatly improve your speed in open water. So start adding those flip turns and practicing, because the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to accomplish the goal, right? So for biking, you could have a certain speed you want to hold on the bike, a certain power that you want to achieve. 200 watts is a good one, or 300 watts for a 20-minute time trial is a very common goal. But even getting over 100 watts for someone who's brand new might be the goal. And remember, everybody's power meter measures something different. If you don't have a power meter, you could say, okay, well, I want to have 90 RPMs and hold 18 miles an hour on my next sprint try, or whatever the case is. So those are more specific goals to the big dream goal. Running, you could say, I want to get injury free. You could say, and get specific on what you're going to do. So for me, I've had this terrible streak of injuries, and I'm paying attention because obviously I've been distracted, and that's why I keep getting injured, right? So I've wiped out on my knee twice. So I have, road rash on my same knee for the last 2 months. And when I was going to fall down, because the long story, but somebody hit me on the shoulder as I was running, and I lost my balance, and then I tripped and I went dish like across the pavement. So not cool. But anyway, when I got up, I was like, oh no, I pulled a hamstring. So my hamstring, I've been nursing it. So it's been almost 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks, and it already feels better, right? So for me, I'm doing specific hamstring strengthening exercises, not stretching, because I pulled the muscle. You don't want to stretch a muscle that's pulled. And I'm doing some light vibration and to get some more circulation in there. And also PT, right? Strength is a huge one. If you guys incorporate any strength at all, that's a bonus. So you could say, okay, I'm going to commit to 5 minutes of strength work every single day. Planks, squats, lunges, make it a part of your day. Like I have a pull-up bar, and when I was not hurt on my shoulder, it's hanging there as I go under the walkway to my hall to the bathroom. So when I'm really focused, I will stop and do pull-ups, right? To be able to go to the bathroom, maybe on the way back if I really have to go. And then nutrition. So get specific on your goals, write them down. If you want the worksheet, you can register, just type in on the chat right now that, hey, please send me the worksheet. And if we don't have your email, we might ask you for it, but if you're in this group, we usually have your email. And then the evaluations. So run test, swim test, bike test. Those are all the tests that I do, right? So you guys need to get the worksheet to see the tests that I measure. And then as far as creating your zones and all that comes with joining my program. So we are going to talk about that a little bit today. So did anybody do their TriCalc 3? Because I did not see anybody's posted. But I'm going to use Ricky as an example, just because he asked me, he actually said, hey, can you help me create my TriCalc 3? Nobody actually posted theirs. But remember, whoever you guys, the more you post, the more I'm going to give you my goodie bag, which is filled with super awesome stuff that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to do a TriCalc 3 for Ricky. His goal is to do a sub 1 hour sprint distance triathlon this next weekend. So here's the TriCalc 3. I'm hoping you guys can see my screen. Let me see. I'm gonna wait a second and see. Okay, yeah, you can see it. So I gave you this tool yesterday. So you're gonna click over here where my cursor is. You're gonna click menu, and you're gonna try time predictor. Okay, so custom distance, you can pick sprint. He's doing a sprint. So it starts at 7 a.m. The sprint is only 500. And the good news is he just did, we told you he did a 5-minute 400. So his goal, I don't remember what it was, Ricky, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be like one, I don't know, what would you say? You should tell me one, let's say 1:15. Was it that fast? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally possible. So Ricky. I know, Maria, don't make fun of me. I love all my windows. I have like connection to them. It's so funny. I try to close them every day and then I'm like, okay, I need to get less open. Okay, cool. So Larry, you have yours set, and does that include your transitions? So this is Maria calling me out for all my windows open. Sorry. Okay, so 1:15 pace, and then I told him this transition area where he's going to race, he could probably do less than 2 minutes, but he'd have to really sprint, okay, for the run. So we're going to give it 2 minutes. I think we actually said 3, just because it is his first race at this venue. And then the bike is going to be 9 miles. So we're going to change that to miles. And he's saying he's going to go 24. Now, I think he said 23. Now, we have not done his bike test, but for me, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know him as an athlete yet, but I'd like to see if that's true, because I feel like that's a little fast, especially he has not been on his tri-bike. He's getting it tomorrow, but I mean, I'm not going to say it's not possible. I have no idea. And so then he told me, I think he said he's going to do a 6-minute mile or 6:30-minute mile for his 5K. And that brings him, here's the splits, right, for each distance. So the swim would be 6 minutes and 50 seconds. The bike would be 23. I'm calling him out on that one because I don't think it will be that fast, but I don't know. And then the 5K at 20:12 with a 6:30-minute mile, that brings him to 55. So he has like 5 minutes of wiggle room, you know, even if he doesn't get the 6:30-minute mile or the 23-mile-per-hour bike. But why is this important? Why does this even matter? Well, if the goal is to break an hour, well, how is it going to happen? You got to know where it's going to come from. Is it going to come from your swim, your bike, your run? What do you need to work on in training to achieve this goal? Now, say we did his tests, and it turns out that for his bike speed, he only has the ability to do 21 miles an hour. You know, he still breaks the hour, okay? And then maybe his run time is more like a 7-minute mile, right? Let's see, even at a 7:30-minute mile, he's at 1 hour and 29 seconds, right? So he could still make it. So if we did, let's do 7:15-minute mile. He's still there. He's under an hour with this setup. And so, you know, there's someone else who's trying to break an hour on here. I'm trying to remember who. Mark, I want you to post your TriCalc 3. I want to know where it's coming from. Where is your sub 1 hour sprint distance triathlon on the 25th of September? Where is it going to come from? So this solves the problem, because I have people all the time. Well, I want to do this. Okay, well, where are you now? We have to find out where you are now to be able to see if it's even possible today, or you need some training, right? So it's just such a cool tool. It's also really, really great for Ironman, because you can really dial in your nutrition and the minimum amount of nutrition that you're going to need on race day. Okay, so this is a game changer. All right, anything else? 3 minutes, I said 1:30, but I think it's 1:15 this year. Yeah. Okay, so I feel confident, Ricky, that you're going to break the hour, no matter if these times are a little bit off. But it's your first race on a brand new race venue, so it'll be cool to find out. I love it. So yeah, so Larry, you got to include your transition 3 minutes. That's long, yeah. But cool. And so for you, Larry, you're doing like a longer race. It's 3 hours. What you can do is really dial in your nutrition now that you know how long it's going to exactly take you, and your goal is sub 3. So let's say your swim doesn't get, you know, you come out and it's not the, you know, the time that you had hoped for. You can work it out on the bike, right? You could adjust your speed on the bike or your effort on the bike to still break that 3 hours if you know your numbers, right? Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to stop sharing with all of my screens open, Maria. I love it. Calling me out. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Any questions? So we said we're gonna do a TriCalc 3. I talked about my story. If you guys can relate, Have you had anything that you've been struggling with and it's hard to get back on track? Believe me, there were some dark moments during that time. I was married at the time, and my ex-husband, he would go out and train every day. And I was so depressed that I couldn't join him. And I was so grateful that I found my program. And now when I have a setback, it's not like this 18-month thing. It's very short. Within 2 weeks, sometimes I am back out there. And today, actually, so I have a little bit of bursitis in my shoulder, and I went to the pool anyway, and I did 1,000-yard workout with my right arm. So I love to swim. Swimming is my happy place. And so I did my one arm freestyle, one arm breaststroke, one arm backstroke, one arm fly. And then I did a bunch of kick sets. And I was like, yay, I am still able to swim. So 90% of the time you can still do stuff when you are injured. Action will create more motivation and inspiration to think of creative ways to still be out there and not lose all that fitness, or transition to a different sport, right? So for a short period of time. All right, guys. So I did want to mention again, I have decided, yeah, nutrition is your Achilles heel. Well, guess what? If you change your nutrition, like exponential improvements can happen. Just think about how many times a day you put something in your mouth. Okay. That has way more effect than, well, actually it's a combination. I heard this really cool thing, like your bones will not get stronger no matter how many vitamin D and magnesium you take, unless they go have impact. You have to have like body weight movement, strength training, walking, light jogging to improve your bone density just as much as you need the nutrients coming in. And then are you even absorbing the nutrients you're having? So I thought that was pretty cool. But nutrition is definitely something that you can always improve, even if you just start with one meal a day, right? I had a guy that did my nutrition essentials course, and he only implemented the changes until 12 p.m. And he lost like 30 pounds just doing that. It was crazy. And then he went on to have the best triathlon year of his life. Lewis, he had a great year that year. So anyway, so I wanted to invite you guys, anybody who is interested, I am going to be doing on Friday a webinar that kind of digs into the details of my triathlon transformation program. It's kind of like the framework where you can see how the workouts are delivered, what they look like, how the whole system works. You know, it includes my swim essentials, bike essentials, run essentials, my nutrition essentials, and as well as my strength and mobility essentials. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's kind of cool because it just gets delivered to you in a calendar system, and you just implement it, right? And you're also letting me know, based on your time that we assessed at the beginning of the week, if you only have 5 hours a week of training, you're training for a sprint, right? If you have 8 to 10 hours a week of training, you could be training for an Olympic, moving into half Ironman if you really want to squeeze it in there. But to do an Ironman, you need a minimum of 10 to 15 hours per week. And it doesn't mean you're never going to do that Ironman if that's not possible right now, but the training is delivered to you in a way that it's absorbable. It's you can take it all in. It's not meant to be there and not get done, right? And yeah, so I'd love to invite you, but there is an application. So we're going to be sending you guys an email with the application. Actually, we could maybe even drop the application here tomorrow, the link on the call tomorrow. So if you are interested, there's no obligation to just learn the details all about the program. And I'm super excited about it because, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, but now I have a really dialed in system that helps people get the success that they're looking for, from crossing your first triathlon finish line to world championships, right? So I have 2 athletes that are headed to Utah next month for the world championships. I've had 6 people go to Kona, and I've had people that are just trying to cross the finish line, right? So it doesn't matter what level you are, as we talked about. Everyone is here to learn something and get better. That's human nature that we want to improve. And this system that I've created is just a total game changer. And I shared some of it with you this week, but there's a lot more to the process. And I know people sometimes can get overwhelmed because there is so much, right? But having a proven system kind of solves all those problems for you. All right, you guys. Hey, Olga. Hey, Nick. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, if you want to get the download to learn what the tests are that I give my athletes, and just kind of have a template to help you end the year with a bang, right? Like it's not over. You guys, it's September. I have so many plans. I'll be in Key West. I'll be in Key West I love that race. I'm there every year. I think I've been there, I think 8 or 9 years now, or ever since they had it. So that's my favorite end of the year race. There's Clash Daytona, there's Haines City 70.3, there's Indian Wells. These are all races that my athletes are joining. There's Miami Man. There's a couple Game On races in Palm Beach, and we have discount codes for all that stuff. So if you want to finish the year and you don't want to end it, without going out strong, I also have my Nutrition Essentials course starting. So there's lots of different options, but I'd love to have you learn more if you're interested in joining me on the webinar on Friday at 12:30. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for sharing. And remember, when you guys share your struggles and you share your successes in this group, you are helping someone else that's just like you and relating that to them to help them feel like, hey, I'm not alone, right? So there's a reason you're here. Please don't be shy. Ask questions, participate in the polls. I love seeing people's answers to all the questions that we post. But I'd love to get to know you more. And remember, you're an inspiration to other people in the group that maybe are just starting out. So share all your successes. I want to see those Tri-Cal 3 goals. I want to see when you do great at a race. We're going to be posting more of our Medal Mondays in here, our successes with our athletes who are in the program and in Triathlon Obsessed, so you guys can see what's possible. All right, you guys. All right, we got one more day. So I'd love to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is all about races. So I'm going to give you some awesome race tips. Actually, this one key tip will change your racing forever. Okay, so you can definitely get better and improve from all the information I've given you so far. But if you want to go deeper, plan on being with me on Friday. All right, you guys. Namaste. Wishing you well. Bye. Have a good one.